Hello, and welcome to Things You Didn't Ask For and Didn't Need to Know Halloween Special. I, King Solomon the Wise, rule here. And here being the province of particulars, the duchy of details, the state of statistics, the society of schooling, the empire of illumination, the commonwealth of comprehension, the land of lore, the region of recognition, the seat of science, the district of dogma, the whereabouts of wisdom, the dwelling of doctrine, and the town of theory. Whew. So that's what we're going to do this week. We're talking about Halloween, all things spooky. And for those of you listening on podcast, we are dressed up very uncomfortably. Those of you watching on YouTube can see it, but anyone listening cannot.
They're wondering, what on the earth have I tuned into?
Yeah, so I'm not King Solomon. I am dressed up as a king for those listening.
Thanks for clarifying that you're not actually really King Solomon.
I know, people need to know that. This is the internet. Donald, you are?
Father Ted Crilly.
But in particular...
which one?
The Song for Europe.
Oh, the Song for Europe. Yeah.
Mart?
Well, I was going to wear a hat and say, I'm Crazy Hat Man. But then Rachel was like, no, you got to make an effort. So she went with the clown look. And I don't know, am I John Wayne Gacy or Heath Ledger? I think you probably should, if you're ever going to do a clown anymore, it's got to be Heath Ledger.
It's got to be. And you look awesome. You look like we just threw something on and went with it, but you actually look like you put effort into it, to be fair.
I got a sponge in the eye for the cause.
Yeah. So, very uncomfortable. Happy Halloween to everybody, and let's kick it off.
Happy Halloween.
Yep.
So I suppose we'll start with a few Halloween-themed facts, I guess, would be a good place to start. So apparently, trick-or-treat isn't the original phrase for Halloween. And this is something I actually didn't know. Instead, kids years ago apparently would allegedly yell out, Belsnickel.
Belsnickel. That sounds very...
German.
Yeah, so yeah.
That sounds very Dwight from The Office.
Yeah, possibly. So according to the Library of Congress, historians argue that the modern call originated from Belsnickling, a German-American Christmas tradition where kids dressed in costumes and went around their neighborhoods to see if they could guess the identity of those dressed up. In some versions, the adults couldn't accurately guess. The children were rewarded with treats and goodies. Which I think is actually a pretty cool tradition. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Like, when you go to a fancy dress party and people are dressed up and you say, oh, who are you? Like, who are you behind the costume, but also who are you meant to be?
No, okay. I'm just the adult version is what's that movie with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman?
Eyes Wide Shut.
Yes, that's what. But anyway, let's not go there.
That's for later. So I thought Belschnickel would confuse people if you went and did it to them nowadays. It'd be funny. The other thing is, a lot of people might not know this or might know it, that Halloween is older than Christianity itself. So it started, it's a pre-Christian Celtic festival called Samhain, which we would know because it's the name for the month, which means summer's end.
And when you say the name for the month, you mean in the Irish language?
In the Irish language, yeah. Held in the beginning of November, the feast recognised the last day of the fall harvest and the spirits crossing over, since they believed that the veil between the living and the spirit world was thinnest at this time of year. And the people here in Ireland and in England and in northern France used to ward off ghosts. Ward off them too. But no, they'd ward off ghosts by lighting sacrificial bonfires and you guessed it, wear costumes to trick the spirits.
You are describing another video game, Dragon Age, where the veil is thin in some places.
Yes, true. I think it's in lots of different...
but all the Catholic Church did is come along in a new place and be like, okay, we got to try to, get the masses to worship our God instead. And instead of trying to steamroller over the existing traditions, they were just like, let's just co-opt it and just kind of say,
And that's because in the 8th century, by the way, we probably have loads of the same facts and everything. But in the 8th century, in an attempt to stop their pagan practices, Pope Gregory III established All Hallows on November 1st. But then the people kept their traditions and made All Hallows Eve, which was the day before November 1st. That's why it's 31st of October, and that's where we get the word Halloween from.
Yeah. Take that, Pope Gregory, whatever.
Gregory, and my last one is a cool thing that would happen at Halloween to make it more spooky and more Halloweeny would be a full moon. And apparently that only happens once every 19 years. So once every 19 years, you'll have a full moon on Halloween. And of course, for us here in Ireland, that means once every 60 years, you might see a full moon on Halloween.
Oh, why?
because
'Cause clouds and stuff.
Clouds and shitty weather that we have. So, yeah, that's... I meant to look up when the next one is, but I forgot to.
Well, let me ask you something. Two of you.
Yeah.
Are you excited that it's Halloween, or do you care, or are you interested?
Well, for me, much like Christmas, Halloween is taking on more importance in the last 8 years. Well, probably less than that, than it would have had prior to that.
Because you have a youngling.
Exactly. When you have children, Halloween and Christmas is
I guess it
ramped up to 10.
breathes a new
basically.
life
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like, sure, I haven't. Like, I'm 50 years old. I haven't gone. I never, first of all, never went trick or treating because that wasn't a thing when we were growing up. We used to go around the houses in costumes and they just throw you a couple of euro or pounds.
Well,
as
that
they
is
were known
trick or
back in
treat,
the
isn't
days. Kind of, but it wasn't like trick or treat. You just stood there.
Well, yeah, because no kid does it. I think.
But now when you open the door, the kids will say trick or treat, and then you give them sweets, and the nice ones say thank you, and the other ones just run off.
Yeah, well, that's because when we were younger, we all knew our neighbours. So you show up at the door. Yeah, just give me the money.
Yeah, show me the money. That was it. You get a couple of euro, and
Do kids come to your door? Like, no kids ever come here.
Really?
We're in an estate, and yeah, no.
oh man, we go through them like we have dinner early on Halloween simply because we know
Really?
we're going to be so busy going to the door, and then one of us has to leave the house, of course, with our child so that he can go to people's doors, and we just go in our estate, like, and we go to the houses that have
Oh,
Halloween.
there's no kids in this estate. That's what it
That's
is.
the thing, and I know there's at least one down the road here.
No, there's a few, yeah, but I mean,
Not
not
many.
many. There's
Yeah.
really like two
And
houses.
how many people would come here on average, Mert, around about?
Oh, none.
Oh, none. Okay.
His average would be 0.
Yeah.
I think our average would be about 80.
80.
Yeah.
Damn.
And I know that
Is that
because-
like an exaggeration or
No,
literal?
no, that's a literal because we
80
made
kids
We did it one year.
show up at your door
We
looking for
made-
free stuff.
The first few years we made that we were living in the state, we made little baggies with like some lollipop and a couple of sweets and stuff in each of these small little Ziploc bags, so that each kid would get the same amount. It'd be fair. And we went through. I think that first year we went through like 120 of them.
God, Barry.
Yeah.
No, but you
So-
got to
and
do
it's
anyways. You
been-
got to tell a kid, no, your costume is crap. You're not getting anything. But some other kid, yeah, I like that. Here, have
But
loads.
that only works if they're both at the door at the same time.
Yeah, you got to maximize the hurt
Yeah,
feelings.
yeah. And
That's the
elation.
true spirit of Halloween.
That's it. Yeah. But then we stopped doing that because it was just far too much effort.
You
making
said fart.
all those bags just
Yeah.
took too
Yeah,
much time.
yeah.
Now because Oisin's a bit older, we open the door and he just dumps the sweets into their thing. So we don't count it anymore. But it hasn't. It's gone down definitely. That first few years was definitely higher than it's been, but it hasn't gone down a huge amount. So I'd say it averages around 80 kids or so.
Damn.
Jeez, that's
So,
crazy.
it's great though. I love it.
Like out in Carrow now, it's
You see
definitely.
very few.
It's very few, yeah, very few.
But again, going back to when I was growing up, there was 3 nights that you would go door to door in the houses. There was Halloween, there was Lobdita, and there was Loch Stefan. So Lobdita is our patron saint,
Bridget.
who's the female patron. We have 2 patron saints. We have
Really?
Yeah, we have Saint Patrick and Saint Bede's.
How egalitarian.
I know. Yeah. But Lobdita, you go around with this thing that was made from straw that had 3 crosses woven into it. It was like woven straw with 3 crosses woven into it, and there was a prayer and a ritual you did with it. And then Stephen's Day, you would capture, back in the day, you'd capture a live, now we used to use a potato because it was cruel,
Yeah.
cruel little birding. You'd capture an actual wren and you put it in a jar with air holes on the top and a string, and you'd bring that around and people would give you money for...
Yeah, the tradition, even when we were young, that tradition had just about died out, where
Yeah.
some people would still go around with a real bird that they caught, put in a jam jar,
Yeah.
and just waving it in people's faces.
I have an opinion about that, but we'll get back to that in a second.
There's a huge history of that in the rest of the country. It wasn't as big in our neck of the woods, but in other areas of the country, the Rin Boys were a huge thing. They were like, I don't know if they were a secret society or something, but they had mental costumes and stuff. But they used to go around in groups. One person would have a Rin, the rest of them would have musical instruments, and they'd perform at every single door. And stuff
That
like
sounds
So
cool.
Is
Actually,
this
yeah, yeah.
kids?
Yeah, well,
The Wren Boys. It sounds like a gang.
kind of. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It could have been a secret society. I'm not sure. I might be mixing them up with someone else.
No, I've heard
But,
of it.
I might be mixing that in with something. I didn't research it at all.
That's
So
the
they were the
best,
three. They were the 3 nights you would go around, and they were lit for me anyway. They were in order of, and again, it wasn't treats. You didn't get sweets. You got money. So that needs to be very clear. It was money. And you used to make a tiny little bit of money at Halloween. You might make £20, £30.
I'm surprised you made
That's
any money
loads
on
of
Halloween.
money.
For that, yeah, for a young fella it was.
For
But
like the
this is the thing.
80s in
Comparing-
recession Ireland, if a kid had 20 quid.
comparatively, St. Stephen's Day going around with the Rin was way better. It was at least half of that again. But Bridget's Day, going around with the kiss, that was the money maker. I used to do that. I used to only go to a certain number of houses that I knew from the previous years. These are the good ones.
You're like,
I
I
go
only
to
have
the-
a certain amount of time. I have to maximize it.
I wouldn't bother going to the ones that used to give you a pound or two. I'd go to the ones. There was a couple of houses that used to give me like a tenner and 20 quid.
Wow.
Yeah, so you used to go
Yeah.
to
Your
7 or 8 houses.
entrepreneurial spirit is like,
Boom.
maximize profits.
Minimize time.
Focus
Focused. It was focused, targeted kiss ritual. But yeah, they were the 3 days, and Halloween was the lowest one because it just wasn't as people didn't gel with it as much. I think, especially the older folks. The older folks love the
What
religious
about
stuff.
traditions? Tell us some spooky shit.
Me?
Well, I don't know. Someone. I don't have any spooky stuff
You-
to say.
what was your original question though? Because I've answered it, but Donald hasn't.
I don't even remember. I don't even listen to myself. I don't know why anyone else would tune in and listen to me. I don't know.
Listen to our podcast.
Wait, do you have any more stuff to?
No, that's it. That's me done.
Oh yeah, okay. Mart, do you have any spooky stuff or any news to say?
Just to explain to everyone, that was a spooky voice saying, "I see you." And that's kind of a menacing threat that you're going to get injured and end up in the ICU.
Intensive care.
I don't really have any spooky Halloweeny stuff. I
Or
have
any
one
kind of small stuff.
spooky story. No, it's more of a terrifying story
Oh right, okay.
that I want to ask you about. Because we have to talk about it this week, even though it's kind of ruining the buzz of Halloween. Trump or Harris? The election is like literally next week, I think.
Yeah.
So who do you think's going to win?
Well, the Halloween nightmare scenario would be Trump winning. I think that's as plain as anything. But of course, Kamala Harris will be more of the same, which is good, and more of the same global stability, which is good. We need a strong America to keep certain countries in check. Whereas Trump, I think, is in the pockets of some of the countries that need to be kept in check, and therefore bad for the world. And I know it's the American election, and people say, "Oh, the American shit doesn't have nothing to do with us." It absolutely 100% has a lot to do with
everything.
everybody,
Yeah,
the
everything.
entire world.
Even
So,
I was just
yeah.
listening this week on the radio. They were talking about some economist in Ireland was saying if Trump gets in, it'll be bad for Ireland because you know the way we're doing shenanigans to the rest of Europe with our cheap corporate tax, so that we get in these American corporations like Apple and whatever, and they
And
you know,
Intel and-
basically they pay no tax here. But Trump is talking about reducing corporate tax in the States to try to lure some of these companies back to America again,
Like-
which would really suck for us.
They pay the least amount of tax that they can here, the big corporations, but still they're responsible for an incredible amount of
Our
the
wealth.
of the money that we get in every year.
Oh yeah, oh,
I
that's-
forget what percentage.
It's massive.
Is it like
It's massive.
is it over 20%?
I think it's something
it's
it's
just
in
like
that ballpark. Yeah.
ridiculous amount
It's
of
a
money.
huge
As
amount
in
of
just
money.
for a few companies. Like.
Yeah.
I always think we have to bring it back to one thing that I never ever even thought of until I know I'm harping on about this. That book about nuclear war that I read
Oh, yeah.
or listened to, where the big decision that may land on the lap of some American president someday is, do I launch nukes back? Yay or nay? You have 6 minutes to decide. And that's not enough time to make such a big decision that no president is really briefed on. And whose temperament would you trust more, Harris or Trump?
Yeah, that's
It's
the
like,
thing.
oh my
Trump will
God.
press that button thinking he's ordering hamburgers.
Yeah, and he's already even threatened. Do you remember when North Korea were doing some ballistic missile
Oh, yeah,
tests?
yeah,
and
yeah.
Trump was like, my big button's bigger than yours and all this kind of crap. It's like, you're joking about nuclear war.
Yeah.
But then maybe, I don't know.
Like if a comedian makes a joke about nuclear war, you're like, comedian. Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
The person who has the actual power to do it is joking. You're like, no, that's not
Well,
appropriate.
who do you think? Because by the time we do this podcast again, there will be a new president
it'll be
in
done.
America. Who do you think?
I mean, it's a coin flip.
Apparently, it's a coin flip, and
I
I'm
think-
hoping, fingers crossed, it's Harris.
But who do you think?
I think it'll be Harris.
Right?
I think it'll be Trump.
You think it'll be Trump, but I think it'll be Harris because, historically speaking, a lot more registered Democrats go out and vote than registered Republicans.
But
Also,
that's
the
changing.
Democrats, and I actually read a lot of people saying this, they're not going out going, we'll vote for Harris, simply because they're afraid that the maghats will attack them. They're not putting out signs in their lawns saying, with the Harris walls on it, because they're afraid they're going. And it's happened. People have had those signs in their lawns, and they've had them defaced,
Yeah.
and vandalized, and even just taken. So I think there's a lot of kind of sleeper voters.
Yeah,
Ones
no, you're
that,
right there,
and
definitely.
I'm hoping America pull through for us, that because Trump's followers are the extreme. The majority of people don't follow that. They don't agree with that rhetoric and that phony bullshit that he comes out with on a daily basis. So I think, and they're traditionally the ones that don't bother voting. But I'm hoping this time a lot of them will come out and just vote and just say, look, no, we're not going to put up. That's not going to be the face of America for the next 4 years.
I think 100% it's going to be Trump. To me, there isn't even a doubt in my mind.
Oh man! So I'm going to hold to the hope. So you're both.
I think it'll be. I mean, I don't know, but
I'd just like to clarify. Do you want it to be Trump?
No.
and definitely not. But
Okay.
I was actually really surprised and a little bit excited to see Trump went on Joe Rogan's show.
Yeah.
And I know whenever I say to anyone, I'm talking about podcasts, and people ask, what kind of podcasts do you listen to? If I ever mention Joe Rogan, everyone's like, oh God. And but the thing is, I don't agree with a lot of stuff Joe Rogan thinks, but I also know that Joe Rogan is definitely misrepresented in the media to a certain extent, because all of media in America is a side. It's one side or the other side. There is no actual middle or anything. He's not all he's made out to be, and he's also a lot of the things that he's been said to be. So, but he always said, he would never have Trump on the show. He always said that.
Oh, right.
And then suddenly, boom, Trump's on the show. And I was like, what? Since when? So I listened to the whole 3 hours, and at the end I was like, oh, that's 3 hours of my life I'm not getting back. Like, Joe Rogan was a totally sycophantic kind of...
Simping.
really?
He didn't simping. It wasn't really a
Wow.
proper anything
That
at all.
sucks, yeah.
It was like, oh, tell me how great you are. And then Trump said how great he was. And he was like, oh, wow, that's so great. It was like, oh, my 3 hours of that. But there was a few things I was looking forward to. Trump, I knew that Joe Rogan would definitely ask about UFOs. And as you know, and any listeners out there who haven't listened to our UFO episode, do. They're out there. The truth is out there. They're real. So Trump, if they're real, he would have been in the seat to actually be able to check and know. And it was obvious that he didn't. Yeah. And he acted like, oh, yeah, I know this stuff, but I couldn't say it all. And then
he's okay bringing flipping top secret files back and
to
storing them in his toilet.
To Mar-a-Lago.
But I was noticing because when Joe Rogan kind of pressed him on it a bit, he was like, oh, blah, 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 kind of trying to act like he knew, but really obvious that he was kind of trying to bluff it. But then he was like, oh, yeah, but hey, I mean, who knows what's on Mars and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, you're still in that mindset of, the
Martians.
The 60s kind of,
Yeah.
men from Mars may attack us on Earth. Kind of, no, we have rovers driving around Mars. We know what's there and what isn't, kind of. And
But it's just once again showing just how clueless the man is.
But that's what I will say. Like, because I actually was giving him a little bit of credit. Trump is, to a certain extent, some way a PR genius, some way able to connect and rally up people, and he's got that ability.
But the thing that shocks me the most about Donald Trump is how non-stick he is. Like,
yes,
the
that's
amount
what I
of
mean.
things that have happened to him or that he has been responsible for, that he has done over the last 20 years, less than 0.5% of them would have ruined any other individual
career
But
forever.
wait,
politician's
wait a second.
Never.
I read this book, and the book was about Boris Johnson. Who's the Turkey guy again? Erdogan
Yeah.
and Trump.
I think you always need to say Erdogan.
Erdogan. Why?
Make him sound as dorky as possible.
All right, Erdogan and Trump.
Erdogan.
And it's basically like this. Let's say you do with Trump. Trump does stupid stuff, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. But the second he's done something stupid, he follows it up with something else that's stupid.
Yeah.
So you automatically forget about the previous thing that was stupid.
It's true. A barrage so fast that no one can keep
But apparently
But
he
that is
learned
it.
that from
That is it.
the old lawyer he had, Cohn. That apparently Cohn gave him the
Actually-
advice of never admit you're wrong.
You know,
that's
there's
it.
a
And just
TV
keep
show
going.
coming on Netflix, which is like a dramatization. You know, Sebastian Stan,
Yeah.
the guy you may know as the Winter Soldier.
Soldier,
from,
yeah.
He is in it.
The
And
Apprentice, it's called.
yes,
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
Which I haven't yet.
But will I give you my...
Man, that was a horror story.
Oh, gosh.
Sorry for scaring you all this Halloween with that.
No, I think after the Trump conversation, this is what we want to hear.
Yeah. But will I give you my quick prediction?
Plenty of women have made that sound in this company.
Since it's Halloween, I'll give you my 5-year plan, will I?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
this
is this
could be-
for
this is
your
scary.
own life or?
It's for my own life plus Earth.
Oh, plus
okay,
Earth.
cool.
Okay,
This sounds
so we're in the
could be
year
scary.
2024, but we're going into 25. So let's count it from 25.
Yeah, keep the numbers around.
In 25, nothing's going to happen. Good news.
Right, okay.
Yep, Trump's going to be in power. Nothing's going to happen. In 26, at the end of 2026, I'm going to say, like in August. Mark my words. August 2026, China will move on Taiwan.
Right.
Okay, China will move on Taiwan, and then all of the foundries and everything that was so important, all of a sudden, are going to become really important. Okay.
When you say foundries, do you mean in Taiwan? You mean
All the
chip-making
foundries
stuff?
that are in America are going to become important.
And I don't know what a foundry is really. Is
Okay,
that
so
thing that melts
foundry
metal or something?
It's so the foundries is the name of the place where, like, a foundry is a place where you make stuff, like where you use fire and heat and stuff.
Yeah,
to
that's kind of what I imagine.
Yeah.
Like what the dwarves use in Lord of the Rings.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But do you know companies like Intel and stuff? They're called foundries where chips are made.
Okay.
Okay. So most of our chips come from Taiwan at the moment.
I only like my chips made in Supermax.
Well, most of our
True Galway, Barry. True Galway.
most of the chips we have.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was very late to the show. But most of the chips we have come from Taiwan.
Yeah.
But the previous the administration of America have realized, even the American administration has realized, this is going to happen someday. They will move in on China. Okay, China is going to move in on Taiwan, I mean. Okay, when that happens, we're going to lose access to the chips we have. But by then, the chips are going to be set up. Chip manufacturers are going to be set up properly in America again. Where they're
More
ramping-
interestingly, you know, because
They're
if
ramping up.
that happened for, I don't know, literally decades, America was always very, very careful to skirt around what support they would give Taiwan in the case of an invasion from China.
Yeah.
And they were very ambiguous about it. And it was the kind of deft hand of diplomacy that you would be very vague and subtle about how you say, but we will support it, so don't you dare. For the first time in literally decades, Joe Biden, when he was in, directly said, we will put boots on the ground. If you invade Taiwan, American soldiers will go in and fight you personally in there. And would, you know, aircraft carriers in the sea and everything. So
They
it's
already
gonna
have them there. They have a massive
There, yeah.
presence in the Philippines. They have huge,
Yeah.
they have a huge Air Force
Now-
base there.
now
But
China
I
is-
think it's huge to be, because having them there for menacing purposes and all, it's different to say, no, we will actually use them. It's like how we're supporting, well, when I say we, the West are supporting Ukraine by giving guns and stuff, but not actually putting soldiers in. If they put soldiers in, it's suddenly World War III.
It's a war, yeah.
Now, this is exactly what Joe Biden has directly said. So I think if China invade Taiwan now, that could go...
Yeah, but if Trump's in power, his paymasters will say, you just stay.
Yeah.
But the thing is, America can't ignore somewhere like Israel, and they can't ignore all the crap that's going to be happening in the Middle East, because there's probably going to be a war in the Middle East. Okay,
There kind of is. I know.
There is, yeah.
no.
I know.
Trust
we,
me.
we live in a world right now where Russia are in a very definite war, but don't call it a war. It's a special military operation.
No, but-
and then Israel are very much
In a war.
not really a war. They're just flattening a pen full of people,
Yeah.
and they're calling it a war.
But it's like, so with everything that's happening, like when do you call it a world war? Do you understand? If China is attacking Taiwan and Japan are attacking China, and then we're defending, we being the West, Europe and America are defending
Ukraine.
and supporting Ukraine and Japan and Taiwan
And Israel.
whoever
else.
and then Russia, like when there's so many countries into it, the history books will look back and go, World War III was
started
happening.
in 22.
So the only question is, like with the rate of acceleration of AI and advancements, like when you look at something like Elon Musk's Optimus robots, it's just a matter of literally teach them how to use a gun, and now you have, you know, to do a World War II style. Get the General Motors factories now pumping out Optimus robots type of thing, you know, with machine guns and stuff. That's what I think genuinely is going to happen.
But do you think that'll happen in 5 years?
I think in 5 years it'll be over.
It'll be, as in, do you mean in 5 years there will
The
be
World War will be over.
Okay, but I just want to finish the sentences.
Go on, sorry.
There will be a robot army fighting the World War.
Yes.
Okay, because AI will accelerate at rates beyond imagination, but actual robotics, the physicality of that is really, it just can't be that
Oh, no,
fast.
exactly. But look at them. At the beginning of the World War II, there was no atomic bomb. The end of World War II, there was an atomic bomb. True. At the beginning of World War One, people trot around on horses with their sabers.
That also happened in World War Two. So
That happened. Well, okay, that happened in World War Two, but basically, went from
start of World War One. There were no tanks by the end of it.
No, I know what
Yeah,
Dan
yeah.
Carlin phrased it. He said they rode into World War One on horses and they drove out on tanks.
Yeah.
In tanks.
So
Anyway, so basically,
that's
so.
And I want to remind people what Donald called that at the start. That's his 5-year plan. So
Yes.
Well, my
he's
5-year
going to
plan-
bring all this about. It's going to be his fault. So when
but-
historians looking back and saying what was the root cause of World War III, then it'll just be Donald O'Donnell written underneath
Well,
it.
here's what to do. Yeah, buy shares.
Don't vote for Trump.
Buy shares in Tesla, buy shares in Nvidia, buy shares in Intel, and buy shares in Microsoft. Because do you know that one of the biggest programmers of the military machine in America is Microsoft?
Well, I mean, I didn't really think about it, and I'm not sure. When you say programmers, what do you mean?
Okay, so you know the
they
way
use
that
Windows?
a soldier goes out in the war, yeah? Mm-hmm. But behind the soldier, there's food trucks.
All
there's
the tech, basically.
all the
yeah.
tech,
Well,
all
that's
the
logistics.
Because all of the tech in the world between military and, economic and,
Yeah.
commercial and corporate, they're all Windows.
Yeah.
It's the most popular thing.
You know, you're not going to be going out in
yeah.
the field with a flaming
So your
iPad.
So your thing of the death of millions is
Billions.
the death of billions. Thanks, Donald. Is screw them, invest and make some money.
Well, I didn't say screw them, but I did say invest
but-
and make some money.
Well, I still think the thing to be more afraid of isn't Optimus-style robots walking around with guns like the Terminator. It's a billion times more likely that you'll have... Do you remember the Black Mirror episode where the bees were little robots? Basically,
Nanobots.
what you're going to have is... It's not even nanobots, but what you're going to have is... if you wanted to kill somebody in the Middle East right now, which Obama was the big president who made this a thing, launch a Hellfire missile and blow up, 500 meters around him. Sorry for the school bus full of kids that was beside him, but there you go, we got our target. Imagine if you could do that by having a tiny micro drone, and there's like thousands of them in the sky over an area that's kind of a contested battlefield area, and then you can just simply send 100 of them down, and they each individually target 100 soldiers. Like right now, the Russians try to shoot the Ukrainian drones out with like their AK-47s or whatever, and some of them you can hit them. But imagine trying to hit something the size of a fly. You're not going to, and then it's going to blow up by your head and blow up your brains.
Surely that's going to be completely contracted by just an umbrella made out of that stuff they have in takeaways and stuff that the electricity inside it.
I mean, basically,
That's
yeah.
the soldiers like they'll hear the buzzing, open the umbrella, and they'll just hear the.
I mean, they'll have something equivalent thereof to actually fight that stuff.
Yeah. So again, that was scary, but not Halloween scary.
Not spooky.
Not Halloween
Not
scary.
spooky.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Halloween by saying, Mart and Barry, do you know that what Dia de los Muertos? Dia de los Muertos. The
god of death?
God.
No, it's the Day of
That
the
is
Dead?
so, yeah, the Day of the
Day
Dead.
of the Dead.
I apologize
That's a
to
Mexican
the
thing or something.
hundreds of millions of Latino fans we have that are
Yeah.
just insulted there. But do you know what that is? The Day of the Dead?
Not really. I kind of know the general. They celebrate the dead and
The same as
their-
what-
same idea as
Samhain,
Halloween.
yeah.
But it's literally
they do make a big festival of it.
But it's literally the same as Halloween. So that thing, Barry, you mentioned in the beginning, where for some reason, the Druids and the Celts and the people thought back in the day that on October 31st and November 1st, around about that time, was the thinnest time between the life and the afterlife. So that's what the Day of the Dead is, like where
So they believe the same thing.
they believe the same thing, but it goes on, is a party that goes on for a few days, and it begins in. It takes place on November 2nd, but it kind of starts on October 31st. So it kind of leads into it, type of thing.
And that's the Mexican Halloween.
Yeah, cool. And that's why they wear those masks. That's why they kind of dress up like Mart with this kind of the skull faces, and they dress up and all this kind of thing, is to trick the spirits and all this kind of stuff. So it's really cool. It's actually a really cool tradition. And
What I was going to say, that's interesting historical facts, but let's go into the real spooky stuff. Barry,
Yes.
are ghosts real?
No. Sorry, that's not very spooky.
Are ghosts real?
no,
Mart, are ghosts real?
I don't want to say no because then it's just really boring. But honestly, I'm going to say that my logical brain says obviously no. But then there's a lot of stuff you hear.
Huge amount.
That is weird enough.
Yeah.
And
you see, can I say something? Right? Do I believe that? What's anything that someone else believes in that I don't believe in?
Oh, Genie Mac, that's a weird question.
Anything. Anything. Do I believe that an Apple laptop is better than my HP laptop? Okay. From a user point of view.
Okay, go on.
No.
Okay.
Does that mean they're wrong?
No, because
That's their belief.
No, that's
Yes.
no.
And
gotta
that's
call you on
no,
this
but
one.
to me, no, you can call me on it because that's exactly.
Okay, wait. Now you're saying to me. Okay, so let's reverse up for a second. Okay, if you say, do you think Trump will win? And I say, well, I think Trump will win, and you say, well, I think Harris will win. Well, that's what you believe, and that is, it's not an objective fact.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can have a difference of opinion about how that will play out. Or you could say something like, is there life, somewhere else in the universe? There's no evidence of it at all, but I still think there is. You can say because of, the numbers and probabilities and stuff. And somebody else might say, well, I believe there isn't because there's no evidence. And either of those points of view are equally valid.
Yeah.
Can be debated to be equally valid, right? But if you say, see that white wall is actually black. I believe it's black.
No, yeah. Because
No.
there you're redefining what is a socially acceptable thing.
No, it's not socially acceptable. It's an objective physical fact that exists in the real
An
world.
observable fact.
Outside of you. Now, you could really start arguing, does anything? Am I just a brain in a vat? Bottom line, no one knows. Maybe no one else in the world is really.
You see,
We did an episode on that too.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
So let's assume some basic fundamental principles that are generally accepted by pretty much everyone. The world is real. You are not just a brain in a vat. And whether this is or is not a simulation, there are some objective facts that exist outside of your perception that still exist, whether you know about them or not. If you accept those basic premises, then if something like do you prefer HP or Apple? That's your personal preference. So that's valid to you. And then if someone else has a different personal preference to them, that is valid to them because it's a personal preference. But if someone says that wall isn't there and someone else says, no, it is, I can throw a ball, it'll bounce off it. I can measure it with scientific instruments. We can get multiple people in here and they will all make the same observation that the wall is there.
Mart, surely you see that you're wrong.
No, I actually...
No, I sorry, I don't know.
Please explain.
Yeah.
You see, the thing is, what I agree with you.
So you're wrong too.
No,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
Donald
no,
is
wait,
doing
wait.
what they
No,
call
wait.
it's relativity.
No, wait.
Right?
Yes.
Everyone's opinion is
no,
right.
wait. Huh?
You're doing, I can't remember what it's called, but something relativity where
You
every
see-
opinion is equally valid.
But the thing is, you know the way that we're saying, like, oh, the wall is solid. Okay.
Yes.
Let's say a race of people, or not a race, but let's say an alien kind of civilization comes down to us. Because I do believe in aliens.
Yes.
Let's say a civilization comes down to us and it's like their spaceship kind of just appears in the sky and for some reason they can phase through walls. So they don't have the word solid in their vocabulary.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll be like, look, this wall is solid. We throw a ball up against it. They'll be like, what are you talking about? The wall is not solid.
Yeah, but they will acknowledge that there is something there. There's some physical particles there that are different that
Nope,
they need to phase
they'll
through.
just acknowledge that there are particles everywhere, but the particles over there vibrate less than the particles, or they're less far apart than the particles that are here in the gaseous air we have.
Now we're going into the area, and you are right there that theoretically you can start theorizing anything. I could even say, I'm a brain in a vat, you two don't exist,
wait,
the universe doesn't exist.
Yes, and you could say that. And if you believe it, whatever you believe, by definition, you're correct about to yourself.
Wait, to yourself.
And wait. Mart, wait.
Changes everything,
And let me continue the sentence. So what you're saying is, Mart, is that according to Mart's belief is of what is correct is that unless you agree with Mart, that then you're wrong. From the point of view of, if someone else comes in the door and they're like, I believe that everything here is an illusion and that there is no fact at all, then you can talk them down and go, no. Well, you can talk to them, but you won't talk them down.
No.
You're not going to change their belief.
Basically, relativistically, everyone's opinion is equally true to themselves.
Yeah.
That's true. You're right there. But let me just give you an example that Richard Dawkins gives when he's talking to religious people. Let's say there is an undiscovered tribe somewhere in an island, and they look up at the moon at night and they say, if you jump high enough, you can reach it. But then there are scientists who learn about physics, learn about rocketry, build a spaceship and fly up on the moon and walk on it. Now, according to you, both opinions are equally valid because the guy who believes he'll jump it will. But actually the guy, no matter how much he believes it, will never actually walk on the moon. Whereas Neil Armstrong does.
Yeah, but Mark,
he is
the mistake,
a part of science.
I don't want to go too much into this, but...
And one last thing, and this is what I like, you quoted this before on this podcast, I think, Barry. Ricky Gervais said, take all the books in the world and... take the Bible and burn it.
Yeah. All religious books.
And take all religious books and burn them. And somebody will come up with some other kooky ideas and some other religions will spring up again, definitely. But they'll be whatever they are. There'll be some commonalities, whatever. If you burn all scientific books and civilization goes back whatever amount of thousands of years, in a few thousand years again, humanity will come back to the same exact principles and the same exact conclusions because science is there and real. And other subjective relativistic beliefs, they're subjective, but they're not objectively real. If they go away, they'll never ever be independently come to again necessarily.
You see, the thing is, Mart, you're speaking from the point of view of a privileged person who knows and understands the science.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, and you have that privilege. And I'm not saying if you don't have this that you're unprivileged, but I'm saying it's what you grew up knowing.
Yes.
Okay, but if someone, and this this is the point I will die on, or whatever that
hill you'll die on.
This is the hill I will die on. I believe that every person's opinion, that thing I was saying, every person's opinion in their own mind, whatever they believe, is correct
To them.
to them.
Yeah. I'm not even actually going to challenge
to
that.
me,
Yes, that's
but
true.
and I agree. You see, to me, I look at the world as like loads of different Venn diagrams and things and like little opinions. Do you know what I mean by Venn diagrams?
Yeah, I do know.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm in the Venn diagram where I agree with Richard Dawkins that like if we burn all, or Ricky Gervais, where if we burn all the books, that we'll still come back with science. Okay, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. I guess.
But I acknowledge that there are some circles that don't in any way come into the Venn diagram where they believe in science.
Yeah, like a crazy bastard.
Oh no,
who's
yeah,
completely nuts about something
but
totally,
you understand from my point of view. At least you understand from my point of view.
Let's leave
that
flat earthers out of this.
From my point of view, I acknowledge there are people that see the world so differently to me that they don't agree with the science of things
Okay.
from that point of view.
I think we can leave this here because
Please.
we're actually on the same page and we're agreeing.
We are, but this is me answering your question.
But what now?
Are there ghosts? Or do I believe in ghosts? I don't, because in my Venn diagram of reality, I don't believe in it.
Okay.
But I think in other people's realities, there are
Yeah,
ghosts.
but I was only asking you because, of course, other people do. Other people believe in mediums and all sorts of.
Yeah, but that's how I believe it. That's how I believe it. And I don't think they're wrong.
I don't want to continue this conversation because it's boring me. But I'm saying you believe in ghosts because other people do.
No, I believe that other people are correct when they believe in ghosts themselves
Right. So ghosts exists.
for those people. And I'm not going to argue that.
Right.
But I don't agree with them. But I know enough to know, I believe I know enough to know that I'm correct. I believe I'm correct, but they believe they're correct.
See, I think an open mind is a healthy thing to have. If somebody tells me, you know, I think something and I think you're wrong, and I want to hear their point to kind of take it on. And genuinely try to listen, and actually maybe I am wrong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll definitely
I think
take
you
on
fell off the deep end
when
there,
someone.
and got sucked into a black hole and came out in another universe.
So yeah, moving on. Right. Like here's the thing, and I love this. Banshees are very much an Irish folklore, and
an X-Men.
And
an X-Men.
and yes, and an X-Men. And they've been used in fantasy all over the place. But the idea behind a banshee, for those that don't know, is that if you hear the scream of a banshee, that someone in your household is going to die fairly soon after that. And of course, the reality is that 9 times out of 10, well, not 9 times out of 10, turns out 10 times out of 10, it was a barn owl. Barn owl. People would be going past old buildings that would have a barn owl, the barn owl screech, and they go, "That was a banshee. Let's get out of here." You know, someone's going to die. And of course, when those stories play, people were dying literally all the time. So, you know, they go outside. It'd be, you know, there'd be rain. They didn't wear their shawl. Oh, they caught a cold and they're dead. So the odds of someone dying pretty soon after hearing a barn owl were pretty high anyway. So it led credence to the folklore, and that's how the folklore built up. But it was a barn owl. So, you know, and you can take almost any folklore, myth, or supernatural occurrence and find that kernel of truth in it. That there's a logical.
Yeah, it came from somewhere.
It came from somewhere. Yeah, and it's not a ghost. It's not a banshee. It's not a will-o'-the-wisp. It's just loose floorboards and drafts.
Actually, the strangest thing that and like, coming back to ghosts again, because like I say, I've just heard stories from people that I literally know really well who would tell me, oh, they've personally saw what looks to them like a ghost or, you know, man in a stovepipe hat kind of thing. And in a place where other people that they knew and trusted separately have seen this same apparition kind of thing, which to me seems just, wow, it's weird. And I remember when we were, you know, younger, we'd be reading books about ghost stories and aliens and all sorts of stuff. But the whole idea of there's the different types of ghost sightings. There's some ghosts are, you know, floating around the house. And then there's some ghosts that are physically interacting with stuff. They're, you know, like poltergeists. Yeah, exactly. And that's weirdly, at least this book I read was when I was a kid. So this is like decades old. Maybe the research has, you know, gone and defuncted all this anyway. But whereas always like there's a troubled teen in the house and the spirit is being attracted to their mind and stuff like that. But another strange one is that there's another kind of a ghost sighting where you see an apparition kind of doing an act as if they're walking up a hallway, but then they might walk through a wall because 100 years ago in that house there was no wall there, and it's kind of like a bit of a recording that's just being replayed randomly, where they're
spiritual recording.
Yeah, doing the same act, you know, walking that way, but then another person sees the same ghost is just walking the same way, kind of thing. And I mean,
you hear stuff like that all the time. People that see that and believe it and all that. And those, personally, I can't explain. But I still don't think ghosts exist. So
yeah.
I have a question.
Science has just ruined the fun out of these things.
Yeah.
Show me the evidence. Or
I have a question to both of you.
Science and related to science, the electric light.
Oh, but actually, what I was going to say, sorry if I
go on,
just to
sorry,
continue to
go on.
talk about ghosts. There was a laboratory somewhere in America. I read this 8 years ago, but there was this. You know the way you kind of get a feeling like you're being watched. Something that I've never actually really experienced myself, but some people tell me that they just know, and then they turn
Michael
around
Jackson
and someone was
certainly
there
did.
or whatever. Yeah. But
Yeah, he didn't sing that song though.
But basically, right, there was these people working in a laboratory, and they kept getting this feeling where there was someone in the room with them, even if they were working late in the lab at night, and they could see out of the corner of their eye there was a fleeting figure, and when they looked, it would be gone, kind of thing. But it being a laboratory full of scientists, they actually just did science and figured it out. And basically, what it was is there was some fan spinning in a ceiling, something or other. And whatever way the blades of the fan had become just a slight bit loose or were at a certain angle and were oscillating a bit weird. And that whatever way that was causing a frequency that was completely inaudible, but was having some kind of a effect on the human brain. And once they identified that, tightened up the fan, all the symptoms disappeared, and they were able to recreate it in laboratory settings by getting, the double brain
strangely
test
cool for
where
some
you have
reason.
a person in one room and have that frequency going, and a person in a separate room with no frequency going, and do that with a certain number of subjects and see. And the reports from the people who did get that feeling there was someone there and all this kind of seeing stuff from the corner of their eye, they were able to, consistently reproduce it. And I was like,
That's
wow,
amazing.
Science explained ghosts, at least a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. And I always feel like somebody's watching me was Rockwell, not Michael Jackson. Just
What do you mean Rockwell?
Rockwell is the singer of that song. I always feel like somebody's watching me.
That isn't Michael Jackson.
It is not Michael
Oh my
Jackson.
God! I apologize, Rockwell.
Yeah. He's obviously listening. We got you, brother.
Well, it's ghosted anyway.
Well, no, I think he's still alive.
Here's a question: do Muslims celebrate Halloween?
Oh, thank God. I thought you were going to say, do Muslims exist?
Well, it depends.
I can answer this
they?
one, though. I can answer this one, though. Yes.
Okay, go on.
Well, our neighbours do anyway. So they come up and do trick-or-treating and stuff. We make sure we give them sweets that don't have gelatin
Kosher.
in them.
Halal.
Yeah, we make sure that there's no gelatin in the sweets and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Is
So
gelatin like a...
it's a pork product. So all those little jellies and stuff, they all have.
Doesn't it feel weird to just say, I randomly pick one animal and say, I refuse to eat that? No way, no how, no nothing.
That's because a pig is filthy.
Yeah, but a pig's got personality, and personality goes a long way.
Well, sewer may taste like pumpkin pie, but I ain't never going to know because I ain't never going to eat the filthy one.
Did you say pumpkin pie?
Yes.
What is the world's biggest pumpkin pie?
I
know.
know.
I don't know if you saw the number.
Tell us,
here.
Donald, what
Did
is
you
the
see
world's...
the number?
No.
No.
Why? I'm not going to read no.
We're
I'm
not
reading your
going to
notes.
copy your homework.
Guess how big the biggest pumpkin pie is in the world.
Ooh, 5 miles wide.
I'm going to say...
Actually, how heavy?
six.
How heavy? How heavy?
Oh, 45 tons.
I'm
I'm just going to go crazy.
I have no idea.
It's not 45 tons, Barry. It's not
I was 200 kilos.
as... Oh.
Imperial metric.
Yes, I have it as pounds.
Okay, then 250 pounds.
It's 2,749 pounds.
2,499 pounds. What's that in real money?
Wait a second now. I actually have to find out how heavy that is in thing. But how much did the winner of this pumpkin? How much did they win for the pumpkin? In other words,
How do you win a gigantic pumpkin pie?
There's pumpkin.
Do you mean whoever made the pie? Will
Yeah,
win something?
no. Do you know that in America and lots of places?
Wait,
I'm
he
assuming-
entered his pie. The
Into
person
a-
who made this pie entered
No,
it into a pie.
just the pumpkin, not a pie, and nobody mentioned pie.
Oh, right, sorry.
So we're not talking pumpkin pie. We're just
No,
talking... what's
just
the
a
biggest
pumpkin. What's the biggest
Pumpkin.
pumpkin?
He won a place in the Guinness Book of World Records for a start, if he were the biggest ever pumpkin. And he won a $5 coupon to Home Depot.
Nope.
Damn.
He won $30,000.
Wow, that ain't small change.
And the pumpkin was 1,246 kilograms.
How big would that be? I mean, how could a thing grow that big?
That's the thing about these
That's what you
massive vegetable growers. How the feck do
mean-
they do it? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I weigh just over 100 kilos,
Yeah.
and that thing is 1,200 kilos.
I just don't understand.
Like,
we're
actually looking at a
at a
photograph
picture
of it,
of a
and it's
picture of a pumpkin, and
it's an ugly fucking.
it is
it's not
really ugly.
It's not. It's not like this one here. That's a beautiful pumpkin.
Yeah, that's a beautiful
perfect
pumpkin we have on the table.
pumpkin-shaped pumpkin.
And then look at this, by the way. This is a
Butternut squash.
butternut squash made into a.
And of course, pumpkins aren't the traditional things
Yes,
for
very
making.
good, Barry. What were they?
The turnips and potatoes.
Turnips and potatoes. Did you
For
know
making,
that?
for making what?
Jack-o'-lanterns.
Really?
Yeah.
Because jack-o'-lanterns came
But
from
they'd be tiny.
as Barry
They
said.
came
Well, I
from
mean,
Ireland.
you
Wait,
know.
isn't a jack-o'-lantern where you hollow it out and you put a little candle
That's
or
it,
something
yeah.
in the middle?
Boom,
Yeah,
boom.
yeah.
That's
Would you
it.
do that with a potato?
They did, or a turnip.
And what, they
Turnips.
put a tea light in there?
They'd put a small candle, yeah.
Bloody hell.
And again, that tradition came from. We didn't have we used to have bonfires, and then when kind of after the Gurta, we
The famine,
kind of we switched the from a big bonfire just to the potatoes and the turnips and stuff.
Wait, that doesn't make any sense. After we didn't have any food to eat, we started using the food to burn.
I mean, that's what ultimately that's what caused the famine.
Oh, wait, too soon.
However, by the way, the in general Muslims don't in general celebrate Halloween, of course. But you're 100% right about if the food is halal. However, do Jewish people celebrate Halloween?
I'm starting to worry now about how many religions there are in the world.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. Yes.
No, they don't.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's a pity.
I'm sure they have other replacement holidays. That
Of
they
course.
have.
Actually, that's something that would be very interesting to do a show on. Because it tells you we know nothing about Muslim
Very
or we not nothing. We know very, very little.
Very, very little.
Very little to the point that I would more say we're almost nothing.
Well, we're very ignorant. Yeah.
Very, very ignorant. And even the stuff that we pretend to know about on this show, we don't really know about.
Yeah.
I have a list of a few people, famous people who were born on Halloween.
Oh, interesting.
So Peter Jackson of Lord of the Rings.
Ah, Lord of the Rings director. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. If Genie Mac, that took me way too long.
Rob Schneider.
The terrible actor, yeah.
Yep. Dermot Mulroney.
Yeah, another actor, I know him.
Another
Don't
actor.
know him at all.
Willow Smith.
Wait, Willow Smith? Not Will Smith.
No, Willow.
Or is this Will Smith around Paddy's Day? Oh, I'm Irish now too. Willow Smith.
No, it's Will.
Willow.
Will Smith has a daughter, Willow.
Ah,
Really?
Yeah. She had that song, I Whip My Hair Back and Forth.
It's weird for me to hear that there's a human with the name of one of my dogs.
Ghost.
With that too.
Vanilla Ice.
Vanilla Ice was born on Halloween.
Yep. As was Highway to Heaven, dude. What's the name, Barry?
I can see him.
I just saw that written down there.
The dad from A Little House on the Prairie, Robert Langdon.
Yeah. No.
No, Robert
No.
something.
No.
Oh,
You're
damn
right
it.
with the Langdon.
Oh, Langdon.
Landon.
Mr. Langdon.
Yes, you're correct.
Thank you.
Michael Landon.
Michael.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Larry Mullen of U2.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, Christopher Columbus. Discovered America,
No, he didn't.
allegedly. According to
he discovered
Columbus.
this
Day.
place with
He discovered a
people
bit
on
of the. He discovered a bit of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
That's,
Famous people who died on Halloween.
oh, excellent.
Okay.
No, this is getting a little bit, at least, kind of dark.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
this
yeah.
is Halloween.
This
It's
is
meant
Halloween.
to be creepy
yeah.
and spooky.
Dead people.
Harry-
Hopefully they died in grisly ways.
Harry Houdini died.
Oh, he
grisly
did.
ways.
Well, no,
are
he
still
didn't.
around.
He didn't die in a grisly. He got punched in the stomach.
Okay.
Actually, is that real?
Apparently,
Okay. Look, Harry Houdini on October 11th, 1926, was performing his Chinese water torture trick where he'd be in water and he'd escape out of it. Okay. This happened, remember, on October the 11th. Okay. And then, he was on a tour. That's when the tour started. On October 22nd. Okay.
Okay.
Keep going.
He, as part of the tour, he went to the University of in Montreal. Okay. And
Tell us the juicy details.
and this person came up to him. The student came up to him and said, "Hey, you're Harry Houdini. I hear you're impossible to kill." And Harry Houdini was like, whatever. And the student said, "Can I punch you in the stomach?" Okay.
And apparently, this was a party trick Harry Houdini had, where he let
Yeah.
people punch
Yeah.
him in the stomach.
So this student went and punched him multiple times in the stomach. And Harry Houdini was like, whew, working off the sweat type of thing.
Oh, Harry Houdini was letting him?
Yeah.
Oh.
But then it turns out that then he died because he had
Hemorrhage or something.
he died at the age of there was internal damage, and he died on Halloween
It's funny. I always heard that
at the age of 52.
that was something he did. He'd let people punch him, but he'd brace himself
Yeah.
and get ready for it.
Yeah.
And I heard that this person that punched him, that killed him, didn't let him prepare, didn't let him get ready.
That's exactly
kind
what I
of
heard.
sucker
Yeah,
punched him. In
I mean
the
that's
stomach.
that's probably
so.
it.
Yeah, but yeah, who knows?
Well, that's interesting because, I always say, hitting someone in the stomach is, if you're not expecting it, it can really take the wind out of you.
Yeah.
If you are expecting it and you kind of you're fine. But
I wouldn't be.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't want that anyway. But yeah,
Federico Fellini. Do you know Fellini?
No.
he's a movie director.
He is very good, Mark.
was
You know
murdered,
your
wasn't he?
Italian cinema. Huh?
Yeah, he was murdered. If I'm thinking of the right guy.
He died in 1993. So I think he just died.
What?
I
Nobody
think-
was murdered in 1993. He
No,
died in
not
93. He
93.
couldn't have been murdered.
The statistics for that, you were very good.
Indriana Gandhi.
Indriana Gandhi.
Yeah, well, the
I think it was
daughter,
Gandhi's wife or daughter.
granddaughter. She was the Prime Minister of India as well.
Oh, she was. Yeah, she died in 1984. However, Mart,
Halloween.
this is a personal one to you. That's why I left it till late. River Phoenix.
Oh, did he die on Halloween?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a sad one because he was
Died
shaping
young
up.
and left a good-looking
Why
corpse.
is that personal to me? I don't
Yeah, why is that personal to Martin?
Because you're dressed up like Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, right. All right. Oh, yeah. I was thinking I was dressed up like Heath Ledger, but I guess Joaquin Phoenix is the new Joker. Yeah. It's
can
kind
see
of it's a mishmash of various clown
Various
stereotypes. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Although
yeah.
I never knew that Joaquin Phoenix, and I just never thought about it. That,
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix and River Phoenix are brothers.
Huh.
River Phoenix died famously outside the Viper Room at the age of, what a flaming waste, at the age of 23.
But yeah. And he was shaping up to be a really good actor as
Yeah.
well. A few of the things he had seen him in, he was just very, very good.
Yeah, that sucks, genuinely.
Yeah.
What else do I have?
And sadly, apparently, his death led to the rise of what's his name? Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, what's his name?
I know, right?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh,
Leonardo
thank you very
DiCaprio,
much.
yeah.
Yes.
A lot of the roles that River Phoenix probably would have got were left open. After
That's
his
like
death
a
and-
Marvel what if style.
yeah, kind of thing.
storyline.
If River Phoenix hadn't died, he probably would have landed an awful lot of the roles like Jack in Titanic and stuff like that.
Yeah. I looked into famous things that happened or popular things that happened on Halloween. Actually, it turns out there aren't many.
No,
Yeah, there aren't. It was
anything
like
at all? Anything interesting at all?
Harry Houdini died. It's like maybe it's just the web, the stuff my quote unquote
To bring
research.
it back to the, I'm not going to say spooky, but to the supernatural. I know if I ask the question, do you believe in it? You're going to say. If I ask you, do you believe in mediums? You're too logical, and you're just going to say, nah.
I know. I mean, I believe in mediums, but I personally take an extra large. Yeah, thank you. Bit slow though. Come on.
We're way too slow on that one.
My brain went into shutdown. My brain went into safe mode.
That joke just reset everything, didn't it? I like that, and I stole that. I stole that off Terry Pratchett of all people.
Oh wow! Okay.
Anyway, carry on.
But no, I'm just wondering, have you ever been to mediums? They're the people who tell you like your future and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
psychics and
Yeah, psychic. Yeah, that kind of
Oh
stuff.
crap! Linda has a
Did you
joke
ever
about a
go?
medium.
Has a joke about a medium.
Yeah.
Yeah, no good to us.
And next week we'll have a guest. We'll tell a joke about a medium.
Yeah, no, I don't think. No, I don't believe in mediums.
What size trouser does a medium wear? No. What size trouser does a psychic wear?
Oh man,
You're not. Don't even give yourself the on that one.
that was a good Halloween massacre.
Yeah. The scariest thing so far in this episode is Donald's joke telling abilities.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean they're fraudsters, they're tricksters.
See-
And Harry Houdini, who ties back into that, he spent an awful lot of his time debunking them.
And do you know why? There are so many fraudsters in that realm because, of course, to be a medium, all you got to do is say, hey, I'm a medium, and then start making up bullshit.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean that there aren't real mediums.
No, it does not.
I mean, maybe there's a real medium who can really see the future and is really talking to the dead people.
Like,
And then there's a
And everyone's like,
million
shut up,
other-
you bullshitter. And he's like, oh, but your
exactly.
Uncle Frank really wants you to find
No,
that
that's Mart. You're literally describing, apart from the oh my love, you're describing Ghost. That's what happened to Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh, yeah, she was a fraudy medium and suddenly she was able to talk to ghosts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know I saw that movie, but...
But
yeah.
what they do, I mean, these people are just, they're cold readers. They look at people, they figure stuff out about them really, really fast. They ask them questions that allow them to garner information. You're not a teacher, are you?
No, and not only that...
Sorry, I asked you a question.
Oh.
You're not a teacher, are you?
No.
No, I didn't think so.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And whereas if you answered in the positive, you're an IT person, aren't you? Or-
Yes.
I knew that. Or you're not an IT, are you? And you say,
Yeah.
yes, I am. And you go, yeah, I thought so. And you say, no, I didn't think so.
I didn't know you were a medium, Bray.
I didn't. I told you I'm an extra large. That's what they do. They cold read people and they ask questions that allow them to garner information in a way that makes it look like they're otherworldly.
But also, whatever about back in the day when someone was a medium and you had to have such a skill to be able to read people and kind of flush that information out of them without them realizing, Now all you got to do is when somebody makes a booking with your medium services, you have their name, Google them, find their Facebook, find their Instagram, follow all this crap, unless they've really locked
figure
out.
it. And then they sit down and you're like, oh, your mother passed away 2 years ago, 17th of August.
yeah, exactly.
She's telling me the funeral was lovely. That's it. Like it's a lot easier today to be a medium.
So no Halloween spookiness here to be found either.
No, nothing there.
How about, here's a question. What Halloween traditions do you remember, Matt?
Oh, from being a kid?
Yeah.
Oh, there was that one where you...
I'm going to assume you had the same, Barry, but go on.
Yeah, I wonder, do kids do this these days? You have kids, tell me. Like where you tie an apple to the doorway and you got to eat the apple, but it's a string, so it keeps moving away.
Yep, we haven't done that, but we used to do it. Yeah.
No, wait. Did you do it with Oisin?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Couldn't tie him to a door frame. He'd need something taller.
But I think it was like too dangerous. Like orthodontists became too expensive.
Even bobbing for apples is quite dangerous.
Is that where
we used to do that?
What is bobbing for apples?
That's where you put apples in a bucket and then you...
the basin, and there used to be money at the bottom.
Yeah, I remember there
Money
being...
of the money?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
There'd be a 50p at the bottom of the basin and you're like nearly drowning to try to get it. Then get it only with your mouth.
How the heck would you...
And don't swallow it and die.
With a lot of difficulty.
How would you pick up a fucking 50-cent piece off the bottom of a thing?
Will, Barry.
To people who are looking at me on YouTube, here's how.
Aw, nobody needs
Sorry,
to see
Mark.
that.
I'm going to say, anyone who's not watching on YouTube, don't.
Yeah, we'll blur it out.
Don't.
We'll blur it out.
But trying to take a bite out of an apple floating in water was hard enough, but I can't even imagine trying to sink your face right down to the bottom.
I mean, yeah. It's
Did you ever race those little monkey nuts? You know the little nuts in the little cases?
Like peanuts?
Peanuts, yeah, peanuts. Did you ever race them across the floor with your nose?
What?
No.
No, that was one we had in our house. We used to race.
Really?
Yeah, you'd
That's
race peanuts
cool,
across
actually.
across the floor with your nose.
Would two people be racing two different...
Yeah, you'd
peanuts?
each have a peanut each, and you'd be trying to nudge them across the floor with your nose.
You see, the thing is, because kids aren't used to flaming running around and stuff nowadays, what would happen is a kid would go smash their forehead against the floor, blood would go everywhere because everyone has tiles on the floor.
That's Halloween.
A much more less dangerous one was, remember the little mountain of flour with the cherry on top?
Oh, yeah. That was like...
That was introduced to us. That was introduced to us late enough because that was the first time I saw that was on Anything Goes.
I should explain.
No
This is where you
on
have
a
a
Saturday
mound
morning.
of flour, you put a cherry or something or a grape on the top, and then everyone takes turns cutting a slice and pushing it away without making the mound collapse.
Flour Jenga.
I was just going to say, that's basically the precursor to Jenga.
They actually did a challenge on Taskmaster, slightly like that. They had them in the tiny little garage. They had 5 grapes hidden in a big pile of flour on a plate balanced on an egg cup. And they had a little bowl beside them and they were told to put 5 grapes in the bowl and the person with the most flour still on the plate at the end won. Then they made them wear scuba diving flippers on each hand.
Oh, man.
They didn't tell them is that right behind them in the door of the garage was a load of grapes. This is the season Darragh Breen was on it and he just went... can I go to the kitchen? And they were like, yeah, go ahead. So he struggled and opened the garage door. The grapes were literally like 20 centimetres away from his eyes. He still didn't see them. But he went into the house, got a box of grapes, brought them out, and managed to pull 5 of them off with his mouth and these silly flippers on his hands and spit 5 of them into the bowl without touching much of the
Oh, very
flour
good,
at all.
yeah.
And that reminded me of it. I thought it was brilliant. Great thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah,
What else?
that was one. There was another one. And this one also came from Anything Goes on Saturday mornings. Eating a donut or some sort of creamy thing without licking your lips.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was another one we did the odd time on Halloween.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think we've kind of ruined most spooky Halloween things. I keep trying to bring it back to spooky.
Spooky.
So let's talk about spooky Halloween movies.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was going to bring up was Halloween horror movies.
Yeah, because that is at least a Halloween tradition that still persists today.
Watching a scary movie.
We saw a scary movie a few days ago.
The Apprentice.
No. And I, of course, forget the name of it.
I remember the name.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for that valuable contribution.
I stopped watching horror movies donkeys years ago. I just completely lost interest in them. I literally just before like the whole Scream franchise started and I Know What You Did Last Summer and
But-
Final Destination, all those,
I will say, right, if I say to you, Barry, sci-fi,
Yeah.
you know what that genre is,
Yes.
right? I can say thriller, you know what that is. Comedy, a lot of variance in that space, but you know what it is,
Yeah.
right? Horror, that has so much subgenres within it that it's a whole other thing in its own. But what you're described there is a lot of slasher flicks, which I consider to be, there's no such thing as a scary slasher flick, right? Oh, this guy's going around killing everyone. I mean, so what? You're not really invested in the people. You don't really care. It'll kill an hour or whatever. But then there's actual scary movies. Now, I don't know. You can start naming names of what you think is a scary movie, but each people's going to have a different thing. But what I used to do was I would watch horror movies, like really scary ones, but I would make a point of watching them only by myself. When I was like in my bedroom with no one else there, and I'd be just tonight putting on a scary movie. Because that's where you get most bang for your buck out of the scare. Because if there's other people there, or if the light is on, you're kind of ruining the movie for yourself.
There's other genre movies that's exactly the same.
Oh, Jesus. Well, okay. Which we're not going there because it's Halloween. Keep talking. No, but yeah, there are some proper.
Well, what is the scariest film you ever saw?
Thank you. That's the question I was going to ask you, Martin.
Well, there is a genre of horror movies called J-horror, which is Japanese horrors. And I don't know if you ever heard of
The Ring.
The Ring is one where they come out of the well, but what's the other one? The Curse. Ju-on.
Okay.
The original Japanese movies, Ju-on, there was 3 of them. They were really scary. And the big mistake that American, like Hollywood makes in every horror movie that they try to make scary, at some point they have to show the monster. And up until then, you're scared because you're imagining what it might be,
That's
and
actually
it's
a good
somewhere
point.
in the back
Yeah.
of your mind, and it just seems
That actually
terrifying.
reminds me of something,
and then
yeah.
they show it, and you're like, "Oh, it's just that." Oh, okay. And now your mind has quantified what it is, and it's not scary anymore.
Yeah.
Even when you don't know what it is, and you haven't really given thought to what it is, but you don't know what it is.
And
then it's
J-horror
scary.
doesn't show the monster.
Well, no,
not as much.
or not as much, and not proper.
And not in certain movies, kind of thing.
The perfect example of that is, and this is spoiler alert for the film, Jeepers Creepers, which is, I don't know if you can do a spoiler alert for that,
I'm
really.
gonna say, I don't know how old that is, but
It's definitely
Oh,
more
no,
than
yeah, it's definitely...
It's over 10 years.
Yeah, there's a statute
It's
of
over 20
limitations
years.
on spoilers.
10 years. If it's over 10 years old.
Yeah. Okay, so basically, in Jeepers Creepers, the perfect example, the film starts off, it's really, really good. It's like...
Is it a real scary movie, or is it like one of these stupid?
I thought it was
no,
a
it's a
teen
parody.
slasher.
It's a jumpy, it's a jumpy,
teen slasher,
it's a jump
But
scare
it's
teen
not
slasher.
a parody. It's an actual horror movie.
It's an actual horror
yeah,
movie,
okay.
yeah. But at the end of it, they show like basically there's this monster, and you see the monster, the back of it, and it's like it's sewing skin together. So if they left it at that, I'd be like, oh man, that was creepy type of thing. But at the end of the film, they literally the Hollywood thing of they show the demonic creature standing on the road, and you're like, oh, there he is standing on the road now. It's like there's the yellow lines around him, of the middle of the road. It's just like it literally
Took you out of
anything.
it.
100%. So, but in for me, oh yeah. So, did you say what's your scariest film?
Well, I'm sure if I watched it today, I wouldn't find it. It's one of those things you can
Wait,
watch.
how old were you
It
when you
just-
watched it?
Well, it's only about 10 or 15 years ago.
Oh, okay.
When I watched Ju-on, the 3 original
Oh,
Japanese,
those,
The
yeah.
Curse. And that was it was loads of times I was sitting in the house by myself after. I was just really creeped out. The imagining, you just can't get it out of your head kind of thing. But I wouldn't recommend someone else watch it because they'd watch it and go, yeah, well, this sucks. But then they might watch another different random movie and their circumstances were different where it hit them better and then
Yeah.
they find that more spooky.
Yeah.
It's something you kind of can't really recreate
Barry?
deliberately.
I'm going to back a ways because, again, I stopped watching any genre of or subgenre of horror years ago because they don't do anything for me. I don't enjoy them, so I don't watch them. But so I'm going way back, and I'm going on memory. I can't even remember horror movies. The only one that's coming into my mind that I remember being scared by was A Nightmare on Elm Street, the very, very first one.
Nightmare
When it
that's
was-
because you were a kid.
I was a kid. So
Sophie
if I lost it
watched that with her friends,
and thought it was
and
rubbish.
they
probably.
they were laughing. They literally
Laughed at
watched it
it,
as a
yes.
comedy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's contextual as well.
And the funny thing is, I remember in it must be 1996, 97. I remember watching whenever it came out in the cinema, the Blair Witch Project.
Oh yeah. See, I'd forgotten all about that. That was a creepy movie.
That was a creep.
Actually, that was creepy, and I would consider that was really creepy for the time. And then I think the more modern, newer age version of that was, and it was super scary as well, was... Do you remember the movie, which is a kind of a found footage? There's this couple, and they had this camera...
Oh, Paranormal Activity?
Paranormal Activity, thank you. That
You
is
see,
a great movie.
there are still scary films out there, and even there's. Have you seen? I think it's Insidious.
Yeah, I've seen all those.
Do you see
kind of-
Insidious?
yeah.
March. Every time I see Insidious, and
How often do you watch it?
once.
Ah.
However, literally that was
That one time I watched Insidious,
no,
more
But it lives in his, it
no,
plays
it
in
was
his, in
it was
cinema in his
literally
head, rent
it
free.
was literally a Freudian slip. Yeah, it literally lives in my head rent free. It was like,
Are they moving?
Isn't Insidious the one with the nun?
no,
I'm not sure I remember
I'm
that
not
one
being an ass here, but is that not the nun?
No, there is a movie called The Nun.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a series of movies which feature the spooky nun. Later on, they just called one The Nun.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I think she appeared in previous movies before that.
Well, I'll put it this way: whatever the film is,
Whatever
I'm
it
thinking
was,
of.
yeah.
Okay, there's one scene where the woman, the female protagonist, turns around, and the camera kind of pans around her and pans by the corner of the kind of. The angle of the camera is pointing up, and you see the camera pans past the corner of the room and onto the woman.
Oh yeah, when they're up in the corner.
there's
That's
a
the one where
guy-
the kid cuts the head off the bird with her scissors.
I can't remember. All I remember is looking at that thing and going, well, that will never leave me, and never did.
But you know
That
what
to me
else
was
is-
like freaky
You know what I
as
think
hell.
it is though, because I think what happens is every now and again a horror movie comes along that it just hits the zeitgeist just right. Everyone's talking about it. This is the
Blair
biggest,
Witch was definitely one of those.
super scary movie.
Yeah.
If you managed to just randomly go in the cinema one day and you watched it and you came out and you're like, oh my god, that was so scary.
Jordan
whatever.
Peele's movies, I believe, do
But
that now.
oh no, let's go back to that because what I want to say is, if you hear, basically, a friend of mine would always say that if you go in and it just catches you, your mind is blown. But if everyone's telling you how amazing it is, your mind is pre-blown. And then you go into you go and watch it after, and you're like,
It was all right.
it's all right.
But that's every film, though.
That's how but that's how I was with that horror movie. I think Insidious, because I remember watching that. I was like, I mean, yeah. No, but Jordan Peele's movie. Did you watch Nope?
Nope.
Yeah, okay. That
I didn't
just
watch
like,
any of
come
them.
on. Really?
It was what?
No, I was just like, pfft, what even was that? And it definitely
But like
wasn't that.
he's the darling of horror movies at the moment, isn't he? He's like all his movies are like, oh. he's
I mean,
brilliant.
I only
Filmmaker.
watched half of Us, and I still intend to go back and watch the other half.
Is it too scary for you?
No. The person I was watching with we didn't just. It was one of those moments where it's like, pause this. I'm going to make a cup of tea. You're like enjoying it so much, and then when it's paused, everyone's like, "Can we just stop this?" I was like, "What? Are you serious?" You know.
There was another film from when I was like really young.
Salem's Lot.
I can't remember. I know I saw it. I know I saw Sam's Up, but I can't remember. But this is Mark. I think you might have seen it as well. I think, and if we saw it today, I don't even know if there's a video around of it today. Like it was
Name
so
it.
old and so crap. Tennis court.
What?
I never even heard of it. But I mean, again, horror movies generally will tend to not age well. Definitely.
Yeah.
You know.
Tennis
And
court.
the other thing they do really badly is their naming. It can be really, really bad too. Like, not all of them, obviously. And just going with the whole 1, 2, 3, 4, that's great. Keep doing that. That works for everybody. But when they do things like, I know what you did last summer. I still know what you did last summer. No shit, you still know what you did last summer. It's only
Yeah.
a year later.
Actually, yeah, 'cause you know what
What
happened
are
to
you,
me?
it'd be even scarier if I was like, I suffer from amnesia and I forgot what you did last summer. It's a stupid film. Yeah, that kind of stuff really annoys me.
But the naming convention, because I randomly watched a movie the other night and I was like, wow. But then I realized, I just was reading up about it afterwards, because I just felt, this is number 2 in a sequel. And there's a number 3 as
Jesus.
well. I was like,
But they didn't put 2 and 3 on them.
No, they just had totally different names. I was like, okay.
There is a film. What's that? I love you, Damien. I love you, Damien. And she jumps off the roof.
The Omen.
The Omen.
Oh my God. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. But again, that's
Well done.
scary.
Thank you.
If you were born in the 70s and you watched
That was,
it as a
yeah.
kid,
I remember being scared by
yeah.
that one, actually,
Oh, and
yeah.
that, because that was terrifying when you were a
Yeah,
kid.
yeah. But again, I think if you watch that now,
No.
I'm just like,
Yeah. Well,
but I love the fact that that the Omen actually managed to get itself into the public zeitgeist so much that the name Damien stopped being a name for children for years after.
I mean, yeah.
For
yeah,
a long
yeah.
time, people wouldn't name their children Damien because of that movie.
yeah.
And then when someone did, they did it in a comedy, Only Fools and Horses.
yeah, go on.
Then they named the child Damien because the brother, the person who was going to be the uncle was like, this kid's going to be the Antichrist, you know. And they were trying to come up with a name, and he was like, what about Damien as a joke? And they didn't need to explain it. They didn't even need to say like, what about Damien, like that kid in The Omen. He said, what about Damien? And then they did, and they kept putting in the Damien, the Omen kind of soundtrack.
Music,
Every time they talked about him, type of thing.
That's definitely worn off now, but there definitely was a time.
Yeah,
when
but
that would have
remember, like, I don't know. There's some of the scenes from it where the kid fell into the ice, and Damien was looking at the kid because the kid said something against Damien, so Damien was like, the stare. Yeah.
Which, when you're watching it now, you'd be like, I mean,
I don't know. I think I can still go there and go into
Get lost in it.
if you watch that movie now, you'd be like, well, that sucked. What the hell was I scared of?
Yeah.
Definitely. That movie will not have aged well.
Wait
at
a
all.
second. What's that film where Sophie's in the other room? I wish I could ask her all these questions about the films. There was some Smile.
Oh, Smile was good. Yeah, actually.
Don't look at me, I didn't watch it.
Really? Because Smile... Okay. Do you know, now that you say it, there's a movie I can't... It Follows.
How do you describe Smile? It's not
Okay. It is a horror movie.
but it's not. Is it scary?
It's not a truly get under your skin and terrify you kind of a horror movie, but it is a creepy horror movie, and it is entertaining enough. Yeah, it's not like you won't be trying to fall asleep that night and you can't because you're so scared. It's not that level of horror movie. No.
Yeah. Still
But
good fun though.
There's another movie, and this was made on a shoestring budget, called It Follows, and it's what? And it's so good because it's basically this. I would just recommend watch it. I'm not even going to say anything about it, but it's just, there's no special effects, there's no kind of big hoo-ha monsters or anything, and yet they have done it so well that it does leave you. It's just scary as you watch. Creeped out. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Nice.
Guys, we're going to be finishing up soon. After we finish up soon, Mark, do you eat brack anymore?
No. Brack is disgusting. When I was a kid, the only reason you'd ever try to eat it was because you're hoping you get the ring, and then you get the ring.
Exactly.
What?
Barry?
Brack is lovely.
Yeah, I
I
think
had a slice of brack this morning.
I think brack is lovely.
I
as well.
had a toasted slice of brack smothered in butter.
Yeah.
With a cup of tea.
Strawberry jam. Strawberry jam.
Nah, just butter.
Yeah. Traditionalist.
No, but talk about the ring. The whole reason of eating a brack is...
Well, it's kind of it's
got a
like
ring
a
in
kind
it,
of a
like-
fruitcake. So
Do they
it's
still
lovely.
have rings in them?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Oisin has found ours. I think 4 years running now. Our kid has found it.
He's going to get married first.
Amazing. Yeah.
Do you know what the other things were that used to be in a brack?
Money.
Teeth.
Mart's still hung up on the horror movies.
Gross.
Fingernails. Yeah, I know they used to put money in. They used to put money in.
Yeah.
They used to wrap up like a small coin. That was something they put in.
There was three other things: a coin, a ring. What three other things?
I have no idea.
I
A
can't,
toy?
I can't remember.
Not a
used to know
toy?
it.
Like on your cornflakes and when you're a kid, there's like these toys come out.
Nope. They were a piece of cloth.
Oh, yeah.
A
You want
piece of-
that. You'd want that in your
If
cake.
that happened today, people would be like, I'm suing.
Yeah.
Well, it's wrapped up the same as the ring, so it's
A pea.
They pee in your brack.
like a garden pea,
Yes.
not a urine.
And a stick.
Oh my God.
So this is.
I stick would be the obvious
how
one
long
because it's
ago.
like
Like when you think of the litigious society we live in today, how are they getting away with still putting a bit of metal in your food deliberately?
I don't know if it even qualify as a piece of metal.
But who knows
piece of
what
digestible
the
plastic.
coin stood for?
Wealth.
Oh, they all stood for different stuff.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, Barry's right. If you got the coin, it meant you were.
It was wealth.
And if you got the
Riches.
ring, it meant you're going to get married.
Well, it meant you'd be lucky in
You'll
love,
marry soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. A piece of cloth.
that you would always be warm.
But Mert,
I don't know, did you get a job?
I'll put it this way: would you rather get the cloth or the coin? If it meant what, let's say, whatever's meant for the coin traditionally, it meant this will happen to you. What would you choose, the cloth or the coin?
I mean, the coin, I guess. I mean,
Barry.
Because then you can buy whatever the cloth's going to give you.
Yeah.
Oh, I just said a warmth.
Okay, so you choose the cloth.
No, I choose the money.
Okay, the cloth represents hard times.
So if you get that, you're having hard times. Yeah. Sounds like a shitty thing to put in the cake.
Yes.
Okay, go on.
That's like a
what's-
Chinese cookie that says,
if you
you're
find
going to
this-
have a shit day.
If you find the stick, you're going to be a Shaolin monk.
If a stick, would you like to get a? Would you prefer to get a stick or a coin?
I'd prefer the money. Out of all the things, I want the money.
Yeah, the money.
It's
Too.
like, I
Because
want
stick,
stupid
but
stick.
stick or the cloth.
But if
stick
you have
or
the
the cloth.
stick of the cloth, I'll take the
stick.
stick because at least you can play with the dog with it.
Okay, yeah. The stick means your marriage is going to be unhappy.
Yeah, but what does the cloth mean again?
You're going to fall on hard times.
Yeah, so they're kind of the same.
Well, I mean, yeah, but you could be.
You
what was the
You could have the cloth if you're
P
single.
was well fed, was it?
No, the P suggests that the finder won't marry in that year.
So the P is a stay of execution.
Then the next year you get the ring, and then the following year you get the P, or you get the one that says that the marriage is going into hard times.
Yes. And then you get the cloth.
And then you get the cloth because you fall on really hard times.
Yeah, that's. I
Excellent.
think
That's a good one.
That's everything we have.
And that's a good one to wrap up on.
Yeah.
It is, because I definitely learned stuff today.
Yeah, it was fun.
In the last minute. And the whole entire hour before was just nonsense.
Oh, thanks very much. I thought you learned a bit about, bell snickle. Anyway,
Well,
thanks.
actually, wait.
Yes,
What again is Belsnickel?
that's what they used to say before trick or treat.
It
Bell
just
snickling.
sounds so
German.
Dwighty. It
It's so
just
German.
sounds so
It's
Dwight
German.
in German. Yeah.
Beats, Bears, Battlestar Galactica.
Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment if you have anything to say, and look out for our next episode.
Yep.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Talk to you later on.
Bye now.
Bye bye.
And boom.